Hey guys, welcome to episode one, the official first episode of the Hitman Hideout podcast with myself, timothymark, and Reaper One over here. Yeah, so it's now post-release of Hitman 3, and I imagine most people have played it by now. This episode's going to be mainly focusing on the release of the game and any issues or interesting things surrounding that. And it's also going to be focusing on our first impressions of the missions. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of come up with a little plan of what we're going to discuss, and hopefully we'll stick to it as best we can and not go off topic too much.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see how we go.
See how we go. Not ramble on too much like we did in the pilot episode. Before we begin the discussion, I thought it was worth mentioning that we're going to try and go with the escalation themed titles for each episode.
Yes.
So, for example, this one's seeing it's a first impressions episode. We've gone with the initial intuition of Hitman 3.
Yeah, so we'll be enjoying having little silly names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could even maybe get listeners and viewers to come up with some as well if we inform them of what upcoming episodes are going to be focusing on. That might be a fun little segment we could come up with.
That'd be a nice little,
like an addition to the Mailbag segment. Anyway, we thought we'd kick things off. Obviously, this episode, for anyone that missed the pilot episode, we gave a general rundown of what this podcast is about. It's obviously Hitman Hideout, a cozy place or platform that any Hitman fan under the sun can come and engage with other Hitman fans, and we really want this podcast to be community centric. We do plan to have, obviously this is only episode 1, so we thought we'd kick things off with just ourselves as co-hosts, but we do intend to have some guests on even from next episodes, which is really exciting. But for this particular episode, being the very first, not the very first episode, but episode 1, our first official episode, we thought we'd just kind of share our initial intuitions or first impressions of Hitman 3 a week after launch. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, to see what our thoughts are so soon after launch. I mean, it's because we don't know the game very well yet. We're still in that. Our knowledge of the game is very much in its infancy. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I can remember when I first played Hitman 1, for example. My which levels are my favorite or which levels I really like completely changed over time due to just mastery of the level. That really can change how you view something. It's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so it'd be interesting to compare this to maybe a future episode where we talk about in a few months how we think about the levels are.
Yeah,
what levels are good then? Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've only played through each map once so far.
I've played it twice.
Played it through twice. Yeah. And I've just completed full mastery on Dubai, but that's it. So I feel like I know Dubai okay.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, because I've only played them through once,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how what we think now.
How our thoughts evolve over time.
Yeah, exactly.
So as you stated earlier, we thought we'd kick things off with touching on the tech side of launch. Obviously, there were a few hiccups with launch on the technical side of things.
I imagine most people would have been at least in some way aware of these issues. So I'm on PC, and I think there were more issues on PC. The first big thing was the moment that the game launched, the progression transfer site pretty much just stopped working. Everyone tried to access it at once, and it just crashed and did not work for at least a day or two. Credit to IO, they did get it back up and running as fast as they could. But clearly, I guess more people bought the game than they expected or something, because I'm not sure. But there were lots of issues there. So people, the main problem with that was that if you played Hitman 3 before you transferred your progress, then the moment you transferred, all your progress is wiped from Hitman 3.
Mm.
And you have to restart the game. You got all your old items, but you lost all your new stuff. So it's kind of a trade-off.
That actually happened to me. I played through my first playthrough. I hadn't bothered with the carryover progress. Yeah, I'm on PS4.
Yeah.
So I hadn't bothered with it yet, because when I first got my hands on it, because Australia's like 10 hours ahead of Europe, where IO are based. So I have a feeling that their website wasn't even active. The carryover website wasn't even active when people that are ahead of their time had their hands on the game. Yeah, well, I don't know about PC, but it wasn't active for PlayStation. So, well, I suppose it's the same for all platforms, isn't it? It's the same website. So
I'm not sure how the tech works exactly, but yeah, it's possible that like Australians got shipped the game early or something as well.
Yeah. So yeah, all my progress got wiped from my first playthrough, but that really didn't bother me. Yeah, it is disappointing that things didn't go more smoothly for them. I released the first impressions video the other day, and I was probably a little bit too scathing in hindsight, but I suppose I was just a bit frustrated in the moment, having not...
I think it's okay to be frustrated as well.
Honestly. Yeah. And in my personal situation, like a lot of people had, it wasn't just the website crashing, but a lot of people had issues accessing the servers, connecting to the servers.
I had that for a couple days. I could not access the servers. There was an issue with, I'm not sure, I think it was a bug, not the fact that the servers were overloaded. It was something called fetching the profile didn't function, so I couldn't actually get online in the game, which means you can't unlock challenges or have your score saved, or even see if you got silent assassin at the end of the mission, which is a strange thing. But I had that problem, and a lot of people did on PC especially, and I believe it's now solved as of today, as of the day of recording, which is the 26th. But yeah, it's a shame that there were so many technical issues with the website and servers. Yeah.
I suppose in IO's defense, like, this is the first game they've had launched as an independent studio, so I suppose, you know, they were always backed up by a big publisher before, so maybe this was a new process for them, doing it all independently. But having said that, I still think it could have been done better. I still think they could have been better prepared.
To their credit, they did seem to get on it quick and try their hardest to nail down the issues and solve them. And within the first week, most things that I have seen have appeared to be solved. But yes, it's a shame they couldn't have somehow tested this before release. I'm not sure. I don't want to be scathing to them, because I don't know how this sort of technology works. But it is a shame.
Hopefully they've learned from it, and when they release Project 007 in a couple of years' time, they'll be much better prepared.
Yes,
because obviously that game being a huge brand, it's going to have a lot more focus on it. So
yeah, exactly. I really hope. When 2 million people hopefully buy the game on the first day, the servers die.
And I think also through this whole launch, all the issues with launch on the tech side of things is a big reason as to why they need to. So I'll just say one more thing on it: why they need to formulate an offline mode. And I mentioned this in the previous pilot episode. And I've seen more and more community members start to, get on the bandwagon and say this needs to happen. So I think I just think it's important that we keep voicing it, just so that hopefully IO.
Honestly, a final if there's no new map DLC or anything, a final free DLC that I'd like to see is offline mode DLC, where we can just play it offline. That'd be great. Send off.
Absolutely, yeah. I would rather see an offline mode than get, say, 2 new maps or something like that.
Same, honestly.
Yeah.
Even though I love the maps, I still want to be able to play all the existing maps in 10 years.
Definitely.
And we've already seen with Absolution, for example, no more servers for that. You can still play all the levels, though, because all content can be played without the servers. It was just the contracts mode.
It's just the contracts mode, yeah. I actually never played the contracts mode in Absolution.
It's very similar to the new one, except less developed, or I guess just less. There's less you can do due to the map size. But, but I would understand contracts mode going offline one day, but I really hope the actual game functions in 10 years. That's my hope.
I mean, they've just put so much effort into this trilogy, and so much hard work from so many people, and it just would be such a shame to lose it. And also, they're just gonna this trilogy will keep selling over time. It'd be, obviously from a business point of view as well, it'd be stupid to just let it go to waste.
It seems to be very popular at release right now, actually. So
well, that's a good segue into our next topic of discussion, which is the unanticipated level of sales and attention that Hitman 3 seems to be getting, in particular, particularly compared to, say, Hitman 2. I don't know if you saw the articles online saying that Hitman 3 sales in the first week, I think it was in the UK, have been 17% higher than Hitman 2 launch sales.
That's great.
I know 17% doesn't sound like a big margin, but it's still
it's nearly like a fifth of the sales, so that's huge. I saw a thing on Twitter which said, I think it was from IO directly, which said it's the biggest digital launch of a game for their studio. So that's great. It's great to hear. I think some of the success could be the chosen release date was very smart, because it's kind of the first big game of the year for people, and with the sort of crippling technical issues of some other recent games like
Cyberpunk. Absolutely.
People are just craving a new game.
That actually works.
Even on their PS5s and stuff, they're like, oh, we don't have any games now. We have bug snacks or something. So they're like, okay, let's get Hitman 3, because you can get all of the games and all the Hitman games inside of it. It's a great package.
It's a fantastic package. And as
VR.
And VR,
cool. I wish I could try it.
It's such a shame VR is not available on PS5 yet, but and PC. That's another small criticism I have of IO, but I'm sure over time, hopefully that will happen. So going back to the way it's been received, obviously we've been seeing a lot of casual gaming channels on YouTube, for instance, that are definitely not members of the Hitman community, playing this game. What do you think has put this game on a lot of the wider gaming community's radar? I mean, you've already mentioned that obviously it's probably the first biggest launch of this year.
Smart release date's one of them. I think the one great thing about the game is it's kind of and I've seen people mention this before, it's kind of a comedy simulator, in that things like the melee, all melee animations are just hilarious in every situation, and that streams really well. Creativity behind it may capture streamers' attentions, because they can sort of express their humor through the game quite well. I think more people have realized this as the games progress. I think Hitman 2 was probably the most playgroundy sort of fun Hitman game. It was very it played up the slapstick comedy a lot.
Taking sandbox to the nenext level. Yes,
and I think maybe that sort of spilled over into this game and got a lot more people on board. That's one thing I believe. It's just it's a great sandbox for the streamers to express themselves in. So.
Yeah.
And the fish is very, very famously popular now.
The famous fish.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've nailed it on the head there. I never really thought about it from that perspective, gamers or streamers being able to express themselves and their humor through Hitman. So I think that's a really clever way of describing it, of this kind of newfound attention that the game's been receiving.
Yeah, I think there may have been attempts for that in Hitman 2 with Ghost Mode and stuff like that, which may have, if it got picked up more, I think it could have been quite popular in streamers, because then two streamers can go head to head. But I think just single player seems to have gotten a lot more attention this time. So great to see.
Yeah. One thing I'm really disappointed about from a multiplayer perspective is I think missions like Dubai, where you've got Lucas Gray going off doing his thing and 47 doing his thing, I think that was a great opportunity to introduce some co-op gameplay, just, you know, as a voluntary option, not as a mandatory option to play Dubai, but just so people have the choice to do it. Like you and I could link up online, and I could play as Lucas, you could play as 47.
Yeah, it would have been great. Yeah,
I think that was such a missed opportunity, but at least they experimented with Ghost Mode with Hitman 2, and as they already stated on their blog, they learnt a lot from it, and hopefully we'll see some interesting stuff from it in future.
I hope so.
Particularly
I did see job listings for multiplayer programmers or something, so I imagine they're still working on multiplayer projects. Maybe not Hitman, but
007 for sure.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
I would, as someone who likes to break their games and like mess with the mechanics. Yeah. I can see co-op being an absolute nightmare to implement, especially backwards in the older games, because the amount of things I could probably do if I had another person running around in there would be immense. I reckon I could break every single mechanic, because lots of things are situational. Like if you from over here, you can't interact with this thing. If you walk up to it, the prompt appears to like hold circle to do this. So if you have two people doing the same thing at once, you could break something in this way.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, because you
both throw something at someone's head. One's non-lethal, one's lethal. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah, you could totally mess with the scripts.
Yeah. And I have some vague memory. This might be complete heresy, and I'm like fate. I don't know, but I have some vague memory of one of the people designing the sniper maps at one point saying that they experimented at some point of having one person on the ground, one person in the sniper nest, sniper maps sort of system. So one person was like setting up situations on the ground, and the other person was sniping, and they just didn't go do it because it was really, really complicated, and that wouldn't surprise me if the same sort of thing was with having Lucas Gray and 47 work together. Yeah, but I would have loved to see it. I would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, it may not have been a realistic design option, but maybe one day down the line.
Yeah, they seem to like experimenting, like VR and such. So,
because I remember that like some of the Splinter Cell games, even those going back to the PS2, had co-op mode.
Yeah, Chaos Theory may have had it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I think it's a really interesting concept to explore.
Yeah.
Co-op stealth is a very, very, very unusual and rare genre.
I can't really think of many games that do it successfully. You have something like Far Cry, which sort of half does it. You can it sort of just pulls itself together, but I think it's very specifically designed as a co-op stealth game would be very interesting.
Yeah.
If anyone knows of any, put them in the comments. I'd love to play them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, please share them.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. So moving on to our first impressions of Hitman 3 itself, after both having only played it through once or twice. Obviously, our thoughts might change. Probably definitely will change between now and when we discuss this later down the line in a future episode. We'll definitely have to do an episode where we kind of respond to our thoughts that we share this time round. In a few months' time. But we thought we're not going to obviously discuss any specific spoilers. In terms of story or mission stories or things you encounter in the maps, but situations you encounter in the maps, but we might inadvertently mention something that kind of, hints at a spoiler or...
In general, I'd say we're assuming you've played through the maps once, all of them. And we're assuming that we're not going to assume that you may have done specific things in the maps, like, this exact mission story or assassination method. We're trying not to assume that, but if you're very, very wary of this sort of stuff, I'd be cautious going forward.
We won't be discussing, say, for example, specific mission stories, because, say, the detective story in Dartmoor, I haven't even played that yet myself, so I don't want to spoil
I played it. I won't. My mouth is zipped.
So we thought we'd touch on level design briefly for each map, and just referring to our wee plan here, we thought we'd just briefly mention the story, our overall opinion on it, without giving anything away, because we're going to talk about the story in an episode that focuses entirely on the story in the future. We'll touch on the soundtrack and also just our thoughts on how IO might approach roadmaps with DLC throughout 2020 or throughout the lifespan of Hitman 3. I think it'd be interesting to talk about that and compare it to how they've done things in the past and what they might do this time around. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add before we...
No, I think let's jump into it.
All right, cool. So how did you see each map from a design perspective, I suppose?
So yeah, all right, we'll start with Dubai. Excellent opening. I actually really liked the sort of cinematic first minute or two of the map. Like the cutscene leading up to it. The cutscenes are absolutely excellent this time. I'm one of the few that really liked the Hitman 2's cutscenes, but these ones are a step up. Lots of excellent use of music and framing of the shots. And leading into the first mission, I really felt like I'd just parachute out of an airplane and landing on the side of a building. It was really cool, and I'm amazed that he could land on such a small area, like this tiny little metal bar sticking out the side of this place. It's quite impressive. Good job, 47. Really.
He's an expert at everything: skydiving, playing the drums,
tactical parachuting.
Yeah. What other skill sets does he have? Oh, there's too many to mention. No, absolutely, yeah. So he's I really like the music in the opening because it was sort of a timed. Like the music was timed to when you did certain actions, like jump off little ledges and stuff. If you noticed that, it's quite good. But the that was really great. So I really enjoyed the opening, and the whole mission just felt very grandiose, and it felt like the final height before how the story like goes down into like darker places. Felt very grand and very like encapsulated the feeling of the modern Hitman games. It's like him at the height of his career doing the most dangerous, amazing stuff he's ever done. Dangerous stunts. Absolutely loved it. Level design was great. It felt sort of like an advanced version of the Bank to me. It was all one build, but extremely well utilized spaces. And I found it tricky. I actually found it quite difficult the first time. So did I actually. I 100% agree with everything you just stated. Touching on the grandiosity of the level, and obviously they took a lot of inspiration from one of the Mission Impossible movies. I think Mission Impossible Fallout, First Protocol. One of them was in Dubai. And one of them were parachuted from an airplane. I think both of those. and he like Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt like climbed on the external
the Burj
windows.
Khalifa, wasn't it?
The Burj Khalifa.
It was amazing.
So obviously IO were greatly inspired by spy films such as Mission Impossible. And obviously Bond, and that's been a very prominent theme throughout this whole trilogy, particularly in Hitman 1 and Hitman 2. And I agree with you in that like Dubai kind of was the apex of that theme. And then it was really interesting because everything after that kind of took a 360-degree turn and just went straight down into darker themes, and really kind of took the series or the final section of the trilogy back to the dark roots of
contracts.
The
Hitman very much like contracts.
Very much like contracts. Definitely. That more kind of sinister and brooding atmosphere.
Which everyone was looking like. A lot of people were asking for, and they definitely listened to that feedback,
which is so cool.
I
think I remember Clemens saying in one of the promotional videos early on, it was released, I think it was Developer Insights or something.
I think it was that,
and Clemens stated it had the potential to be the best Hitman game ever.
I remember him saying that.
Having now played the game, I don't quite agree with that sentiment, but I do see where he's coming from. Like, it is taking some really, really beloved aspects of the earlier games and putting them into this new engine, which is just amazing. So props to IO for doing that and for listening to the fans in that respect.
Completely agree. And I think, like, especially if you take the fact that they ported Hitman 1 and 2 into this game, and you have Hitman 3 now, in many respects, if you consider that as a package, I can see where it's coming from as the best Hitman game ever.
Oh, Oh, sorry, I was speaking.
If you think of Justice 3, I'm not sure what the context of his
Yeah. I interpreted it as just being Hitman 3, but definitely. If you speak about if you speak in the context of the entire trilogy, it's definitely got the potential to be the best game in the series as an overall game. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that was Dubai thoughts.
Yeah.
Dartmoor. Unless you want to had something else to say.
Yeah, I was just going to briefly say when you mentioned that it was challenging. I did when I was trying to work out an essay, a suit only silent assassin route on master difficulty. Oh man, I was really struggling. I'm not going to lie, I hadn't unlocked some of the shortcuts yet. So I think had I had those unlocked, it would have been a lot easier. Being able to access the penthouse and the helipad area with those ladders that you can drop down.
Those shortcuts are very helpful, actually. Yeah. But I can't imagine routing without them. That's impressive. Yeah. Did you pull it off?
I pulled it off in the end, but there was a lot of failure. It took me about 3 hours just to get it. So, Good
job, though. I don't think I've done any suit-onlys yet, suit-only silent assassins. I have some vague memory of maybe trying it in Dartmoor before I did the progress transfer, but I'm not sure. So... Yeah, great, good work. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. It was only I've only done it in Dubai. But it's interesting when I did my first playthrough of the other maps, I was kind of thinking in my head. There were moments where I was like, "Oh, I got to remember this route because this would be good for this."
Yes, I do
SASO.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Dartmoor?
Dartmoor is excellent. It feels very. You haven't played the detective story yet, so we'll only very briefly touch on that and say. I absolutely loved it. I managed to solve it. I had a friend over when I was playing it, and we played it together and we're discussing back and forth. If anyone who hasn't played it yet, I would recommend staying out of the target info menu because it eliminates people for you. Like, this person couldn't have done it. Like, makes sense.
So turn the prompts off?
Yeah, turn that off and don't look at the intel and just try and use your head. And if you can't figure it out, look in the menu, but it was so much fun. It really felt like I was playing an old detective story, or as everyone talks about now, Knives Out, things like that. So much fun. Very very fun way to play the map, and it's not the only way you can play. It's actually works completely well as a normal Hitman level as well.
Yeah.
First time I played was like that normal Hitman mission. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to play it. Sounds really exciting.
How was your? So you've just played it as a classic Hitman level. How was your experience?
Yeah, it was good. Fairly conventional map, I felt, in terms of its design. Like, we've obviously seen a lot of manors throughout the series, a lot of mansions. But it really did pay homage well to like levels like Beldingford Manor from
I think it was the clear homage.
Yeah. I like that it only had a single target. I felt that many of, say, the Hitman 2 maps had too many targets, except for New York. I think New York was the only one that had a single target. So it was nice to have a smaller map that just had a simple task. Aside from having that one objective, I won't say what that was for spoilers, but you just have one target, one fairly simple side objective, and I like that simplicity to it.
So do I,
Yeah.
Unless you be very creative with like complicated things, just focusing on one target. Like if you want to have some really crazy Rube Goldberg kill mechanism, you can just focus on one target. You can do it all at once, which is nice.
Yeah. And it really kind of reminded me of Tomb Raider with all the secret passageways and.
Oh, yeah, that's a good pull. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to exploring the manor more and just the detail of the level, like all the. I saw someone posted something on Twitter with screenshots of all the taxidermied animal heads and all the decorative items and all the portraits.
The family photos and portraits.
Yeah.
Incredibly beautiful level.
Like, yeah. God, I can only imagine the places they must have. Well, maybe they didn't because of COVID, but I can only imagine the photographs and things they would have looked at, the source material.
Absolutely, yeah.
To help them at that level.
Incredible. And you wouldn't have this on PS4, but I'll briefly touch on the. There's a Dartmoor tech demo in the options menu before you start the game. You can sort of go into this like benchmark options. This says Dartmoor interactive tech demo. And maybe I think someone's made a video of this. We might post it somewhere. But they show off their like destruction physics that they've sort of come up with, and I don't know if it's in the final game, but in this little tech demo, you get like a bunch of weapons, and then you can shoot all like the bookshelves, and all the books are physically like reactive, and they'll fly off, and the pages go everywhere.
Oh,
and you can,
no
like,
way.
blow up the couches, and like the foam inside comes out, and chairs collapse. It's amazing. I'm like, okay, I don't know if they put this in the final game, but if you have a really good PC, check that out. If you don't, check out a video of it because it's quite impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my PC's okay. It might struggle to run it on highest.
Give it a shot.
Graphics, yeah.
Yeah,
check it out.
Quite good.
Yeah.
And I won't tell you. We won't talk about what the side objective was, but I like that they gave you more than one way to do it. I don't know.
Oh,
if you
did
know
they
about
really?
that yet.
No, I didn't know
more
that.
than one way.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
I won't talk about any of the
No.
any of the ways, but there's more than one way, which is good because everyone talks about the Sapienza virus as being a sort of like this thing you always have to go and do.
Yeah.
They made it
thorn in your side.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so they've made it a bit more. There's more ways to do things now.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Kind of like in Whittleton Creek in Hitman 2, where you've got multiple approaches to completing the clues.
Yeah, you don't have to get every clue. It's like, how many clues? I have no idea.
I think there's 3.
You have to collect 3, but I'm not sure how many.
Oh, sorry. Overall,
actually are on the map.
Yeah. Sorry, I think there's 7 or 8, or maybe 6 or 7 or something. Yeah.
And you can sort of figure out your fast route to get them all. And it's nice.
Yeah,
it's more interesting than just one target.
Yeah, I remember when I first played Whittleton Creek, and I thought, oh, this is going to be like such a thorn in the side for all the speedrunners, and they still did it. Mendy still did it in like 29 seconds or something. Like, what the hell? Well done,
and you already see people like Fruit doing the like Dubai in like 17 seconds or something.
Yeah.
And some other guy doing like an any percent in like 9 seconds.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I still consider Throat's run to be more impressive because it's silent
yes,
assassin.
because it's silent assassin.
Yeah.
I think Mendy did it in 21, and then for I don't have the exact timeline, so I'm sorry if I didn't mention anyone, but quite impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah, and just the fact that these guys knock out these times so soon after release, it's just mental. Moving on to Berlin. Oh, sorry, unless you had anything else to say about Dartmoor. No.
I'm done.
Berlin is, I think, from what I'm gathering so far, it's kind of like the Sapienza of Hitman 3. Everyone seems to, from what I've seen.
About it.
Yeah.
With some people, it's either you rave about it or you're in this smaller percentage, which is still valid. I'm not saying that's not, but some people really don't like it because there's certain things it doesn't do, which maybe the thing you're playing is the thing you're playing the game for, which is fair enough. But I personally absolutely love it. It's currently my favorite map. Yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's obviously quite radically different in its design from what has become the formula for these maps. What were the main reasons that why it's become your favorite? I mean, love to hear it.
To me, it clearly seems like a callback to Murder of Crows from Blood Money, where you have to take out people talking over an earpiece, and they talk about their locations and such. I didn't use the earpieces much to figure out people's spots in this level, but they talked about but the overall feeling of like you don't know where they are. You sort of have to track them down. I wasn't playing with instinct or the minimap or anything the first time, so it was very nerve-wracking going around every corner trying to find like I'm worried that the tires will spot me instantly, and it was a cool way to play. And so I assume everyone knows the concept, but there's an unknown number of agents trying to kill you, and you don't know, like, when I say agents, I mean other like assassins trying to kill you, and they all have different ways that they like to do things. Like there might be a sniper, or there might be someone who likes to hunt on foot, or alone, or in a group. And you have to try and take out 5 of them to send a message, get the rest of them to like retreat. So it's a really cool mission, and you can pretty much choose your targets, track them down, figure out how to take a map that you've seen, and then slowly people on the earpiece get more scared, and they're like, "I'll stop talking." And he's probably listening in, stuff like that. So it's incredibly good mission, and the level design's amazing as well. Everything feels super connected. I still don't understand the layout, but I love it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said about the design of the targets. I think that was very innovative and very refreshing. Kind of reminded me of missions in the classic Hitman games like Silent Assassin. I can't remember the name of it now, but there's a mission towards the end of that game where you have to take out. You meet up with Agent Smith. I think it's set in India somewhere.
I remember that mission. Yeah,
and you meet up with Agent Smith, and he has some key information. I think he knows the location of a secret tunnel that you have to go through to get to your next map, which has the next main target. But he brokers a deal with you, and you have to kill these assassins that are on his trail. Yes. But you don't know where these assassins are, and you have to kind of find them. And anyway, that concept really reminded me of. Sorry, the concept of that level kind of made me think that could have been the inspiration for this design in Berlin.
Yeah, great thought. Yeah,
and also just the aesthetics of the level was so amazing. Yeah. I don't know about you. I've been to Berlin.
I've not been. No.
But they really captured that grungy, alternative, progressive punk vibe. So well. They captured that whole rave scene really, really well. Like I went onto the dance floor and like took my camera out, so I was in first person perspective. And then the music just all the smoke. There's all this smoke going everywhere and all these lasers and like it was insane,
so cool. I love
man.
the design there.
Yeah.
The visual design's incredible, and the graffiti on the walls is like they must have gone into like 1,000 different places. I guess maybe not because of COVID, but it seems like they've walked into like every bar, like bathroom, and just snapshot of the graffiti.
Yeah. It was so seedy and just they captured it so well, and Mike and I don't know about PC. Obviously on console, when you go onto the dance floor, the bass really kicks up, and your controller actually vibrates.
Oh, really? No, I don't have. I'm not using controllers. So that's cool.
Yeah. So you kind of have that feeling that you're on the dance floor, which that was the most like mind-blowing moment for me when I played Berlin. I was just like, this is so cool.
All the lighting in that room as well, incredibly well done. Like, amazing work to whoever rigged all that up, because wow. It reminded me of I've heard of this club called, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to completely butcher the pronunciation, but it's Berghain or something. It's in Berlin. It's this famous, I've never been there, but it's this famous like club, which is, I don't think there's any photos of what's inside. It's kind of has a very specific scene, and it's really hard to get into. Right. And it's very well known for that. And I feel like they may have been inspired by that as well. There's a lot of videos of it, like not of it, but on it on YouTube.
Right. Oh, cool. Maybe that's where they drew that.
Berghain, if you want to look it up. I just thought it reminded me of that concept a bit. So,
right. That could well have been a key source of inspiration.
Like when you walk in the front and they say in Berlin, they say put a sticker on your phone, and they give you the sticker. That feels like something that
would happen.
In real life.
There's also this is a light spoiler, but there's also that biker section of the level, and they're obviously the underworld gang that are running everything. These underground parties, and to see some outlaw bikies return. Obviously, that's paying homage to that Contracts level.
Rotterdam. Originally from Codename 47, actually, as well, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. So that was a cool element to the level as well. I kind of like that bypass where you kind of have two dualities to the level. That was...
Yeah, I never found that the first time I played. And the second time I was like, oh, wait, there's a whole other warehouse over here.
That
was quite cool.
I can't wait to explore it more. Got to get through Dartmoor first, because I'm playing them, completing them...
In order, sort of,
in order,
episodically almost,
Yeah,
very very good map, very large map in a well-used way.
So, and I just like that the unique start to it, where it was very kind of linear, and there was no key objective to begin with. You really did feel alone and abandoned, not to spoil anything in the story, but
really good opening. If you haven't played, you'll see why when you play it. Very different, but in a extremely well done way that doesn't they do sort of story driven parts of these levels well in this game, I think, because it doesn't hamper consequent playthrough. Like, if you play through it again, they may give you a unlock location where you can start right next to the club, for example.
Yeah. So you don't have to go through these story pieces every time.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
great way to do it.
It's really good. Yeah. It was really nice to see them put more focus on the story in their level design.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Anything? Oh, just before we move on, the music for Berlin was actually made by an Australian artist.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Aussie music producer, apparently.
Even more of a fan now.
Yeah, I don't recall their name, but apparently I commissioned
That's so cool.
an Australian.
I love that.
I don't know if he's a DJ or a producer or just an electronic music artist. Yeah, you have to look it up. But
yes, that's so cool.
Props. Yeah. That's a cool bit of trivia. Moving on to Mendoza. No, Chongqing.
Yes, which I've heard is pronounced incorrectly in the game. Although everyone pronounces it wrong. That's what I've heard. I've heard the pronunciation is Chongqing. I'm probably also mispronouncing it, but yeah, I talked to someone who's Chinese, and they said that is how you say it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll start saying Chongqing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Chongqing, but I'm also probably messing that up. So apologies to Chinese listeners.
Yeah, it sounds like we're massacring the pronunciation.
Sorry. Anyway, yes. Chongqing's actually, yeah. What's your thoughts on it first? Because I did Berlin.
I was really impressed by it. After my first playthrough, it's my favorite level. I feel it's definitely the darkest level in the game.
I'd say that this Berlin is the darkest.
Yeah,
I'm not sure yet.
It's without giving too much away. There's some very probably the darkest themes explored in the entire trilogy. There's some heavy stuff, human rights violations going on.
Actually, yeah. Wait, when I forgot about that, yes. Okay, yeah, it's the darkest.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's the targets are very kind of. I really like the targets, the backstories of the targets in that game. Very original, very interesting, and just some gnarly people. And I didn't feel guilty at all about taking them out. They were definitely, and especially one of the targets definitely deserved it. The level design itself was amazing. Obviously, harking back to the Hong Kong levels and Codename 47 and contracts, just the whole theme of this podcast so far is based around Chongqing, like the neon logo and everything.
Yeah.
So, from an aesthetics point of view, it's definitely my favorite level. I just loved it, and I love the suit.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That 47 wears, the Terminal style suit, and
yes,
it's just. I think that level just perfectly represents 47 as an individual.
Yeah.
Just dark, sinister.
It feels like his mental state at that time, like his mindset.
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing to touch on. We'll have to talk about that more in the episode where we focus in on the story. But I think the levels in the final trilogy really do represent, as you say, 47's state of mind.
Yes. Totally.
And And what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It was unexpected for me, actually. I didn't... when I saw the trailers for this level, my first thoughts were, okay, this is going to be Mumbai style.
So same.
Very large city.
Yeah,
And I won't spoil why it wasn't like that. But why it wasn't like that was very interesting and didn't... Like, it was a good surprise. It wasn't detracting from anything. It was like, it's a very quiet level, which was I didn't expect. I expected a noisy city.
Yeah.
But that was very different, very nice surprise. And it does something which I've been wanting sort of done in a large scale way for a while in the new Hitman trilogy, and I can't talk about it now because it's far too spoilery. But yes, it's a very good mission, and I'm not going to also spoil this, but if you have the deluxe version of the game, I would highly recommend checking out the escalation for this mission, because I personally really liked it, and it's an excellent thematic callback to Hitman Code 47 and Contracts. So I recommend that. But yeah, very good mission. The music also I didn't expect has a lot of choir voices and singing.
Like operatic.
Yeah, operatic. That's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that either. I was expecting far more like cybery. I was just expecting cyberpunk music.
Yeah.
It was very good. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, or synths like Blade
Runner. Exactly. Yeah, Blade Runner, just going the whole
dystopic synth.
Yeah, excellent level. Absolutely reprehensible targets, especially one of them.
Oh yeah,
Great joy to get rid of them.
That's the perfect word to describe them. Reprehensible. And there was a no, I won't go into how the level finishes, but a very interesting end to the level as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, unexpected. So look forward to that.
Yes.
If you haven't played it yet. So then we got Mendoza.
Yes, Mendoza's next. Sort of a return to the lighter. It doesn't feel like a light mission. It doesn't feel like Sapienza, where it's sort of just like, yeah, okay, we're just playing around. It still feels sort of like it has. Most of the mission's concept is huge story spoilers, so we won't. It's difficult to talk about, but to me, it feels like the level is set at sunset, I believe, and it feels like that as well. Feels very
paradisial, really utopian.
Yes.
Beautiful setting.
Incredibly
panoramic views. Of,
beautiful visually.
The Argentinian wine producing region or something beautiful snow-capped mountains in the distance, and then you've got these vast fields of grapes, very almost heavenly.
It feels they're actually great counterparts to the if you played the Heaven and Hell mission in Blood Money, lots of this whole game feels like counterparts to that. Dubai feels like the heaven portion, Berlin feels like the hell, and this level feels like the sort of I haven't thought this through, but it feels like a thematic in between of those in a way.
Definitely.
Who the people are at this level is a bit it feels kind of scale-like as well, but I won't spoil anything else.
No.
It doesn't feel like scale in any of the visuals or sound or anything, but in the who are these people and why are they here? Sort of, I won't talk very much more.
From a visual perspective, I was blown away by Mendoza. It was definitely the most visually. Oh well, they were all really visually engaging, but a level like Chongqing, was very kind of beautiful in its own kind of sinister way, dark way. The neon lights were really.
The main street of that level is incredible.
Yeah, and the section where you can look across at the bridge going over to the main skyline, that was just incredible. But when you first see those expansive panoramic views of the Argentinian countryside, you're kind of looking down this amazing valley with all these mountains in the back, just the terrain was just, the topography in that map blew me away. It was just incredible.
I spent more time looking at things in that map than playing their missions. I was just looking at everything for ages, wow, this is incredible, this is huge scale, and then I was like, oh, I got to play the mission. Did a few mission stories. I was like, okay, I'll have to get back to this and explore properly. Incredibly beautiful level, and I loved.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Okay, I loved sneaking around in the vineyard area. It's a bit of a different, sort of like a maze-like gameplay.
Right. Yeah, I actually haven't done that yet.
Okay, I won't talk about it later. But play around with the grapes. You can get some grapes. Play around with them. You can do some fun things with them.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Will do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And also, I won't mention exactly what it is because obviously I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it. But the design of the loop for one of the targets was really interesting as well.
Yes,
Very
absolutely
unique.
agree.
I love that. I love that.
Hard to talk about, but
Very hard to talk about.
Yes.
I won't say anything more on it. But
pay attention when you're playing.
Yeah. I felt like the maps in Hitman 2 with their design were very formulaic in terms of the types of routes for targets and in terms of the overall level design. But with Hitman 3, I think that was one of my main criticisms at the end of Hitman 2 was that, you know, after we received New York and Haven Island, it was like, yeah, these are great, but it's getting boring. It's getting stale, like on many levels. On some levels.
They're fun to play, but we know how to play them almost.
Yeah.
I know how to beat this mission because I know how to beat the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they've really kind of mixed things up a bit in this third and final entry with many aspects of the level design. And it's fantastic, and it's great to see that they listen to the fans in that respect, because a lot of fans were saying that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people actually say about this game, like even large streamers, that they've said that the game is still like that, but I just disagree with those thoughts. Like a large, they still gave it a good review. I think they gave it 8 out of 10, but a large streamer critical, one of their main criticisms was, it's still exactly the same and nothing's changed. And I'm like, I feel like honestly this game has changed a lot from the previous ones.
Yeah.
In many ways, in smart ways, which don't completely change the gameplay. Yeah. And I don't see their criticism, but all right, if they think that. I think it's very different.
Yeah, I think and obviously that's coming from someone that doesn't know the game properly and hasn't played it through multiple times or thousands, hundreds of times.
A few and just be like, oh yeah, they all feel similar.
Of course, if you just running around, mucking around with NPCs and like changing disguises and doing simple stuff, it's going to seem the same. But
for the more, especially if you're more sort of a hardcore player or long-time fan, you'll probably notice the like experimental stuff they've done.
Definitely. Yeah. All this, I mean, most of what we've highlighted.
Yeah,
thus
exactly.
far. So, Finn, was there anything else you wanted to mention with Mendoza?
No, it's probably the map I've explored the least, like gameplay-wise. But the one I've explored the most visually, which may give you an art design of looked at so much. But probably an idea of what its strengths are. Yeah. Just the whole layout and how beautiful it is. Yeah.
And also, from a narrative perspective, I was spellbound by the way that level ends. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, completely.
Very poignant moment for anyone that is invested in the characters and the overall lore.
Yeah, really cool. Excellent. Yeah, story-wise and like in a sort of there's something they do all throughout the level, which is kind of a clever, natural sort of like thing you'd expect to happen one day, or you'd hope would happen one day, but it hasn't yet, and it's very cool.
It is cool. No. So on to the final level, which is don't know if Carpathian is the right pronunciation. Any Romanian fans? Any Romanian listeners and viewers, please let us know in the comments if we're butchering that pronunciation like Chongqing.
Yeah, but anyway, the mountains, the big snowy mountain level.
So what did you like about Romania or the Carpathian Mountains?
Yeah, so so if you haven't played the game yet, definitely don't listen to this segment. But yeah, Carpathian or Carpathian Mountains was completely different to any of the other levels in the current trilogy. It's probably closest to certain segments of Absolution, but not in a bad way or in a way that ruins anything, in my opinion. It's very linear because it's set on a train. It's set on a train just going around like a loop of a track. Very large loop. You don't really see the beginning or end of it, but it's flying through the mountains at an unbelievable speed. And you have to get from the back of the train all the way up to the front. And it's heavily guarded. There's all sorts of like clever ways they allow you to like climb around the outside, avoid getting like hit off the top of the train by different obstacles, and yeah, it actually still utilizes most of the normal game mechanics of the new games, but in an interesting linear way. And I can see people not liking it, but I personally really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's obviously a much shorter level to all the others. Kind of like for the linear aspect, because obviously you don't have this big playground to muck around in like the other maps. But I mean, it's kind of similar to the way New Zealand or Hawke's Bay was much shorter, I suppose, or a better word would probably be, it was more straight to the point, whereas, and I feel like they've kind of done the same thing with Romania as they did with Hawke's Bay, except they've just taken that concept from the beginning of the game to the end. And from a symbolic standpoint, I felt like the linear aspect to the level design really, really, really drove the point home that this was this is the climactic moment of the entire trilogy. Like, nothing was going to distract 47 from his target this time round. He was in a straight line going in for the kill.
Excellent way to put it.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
The level design reflected the themes exactly.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. Do you have any like major criticisms of this level because it's so different, or did you enjoy it?
I think some people might see the level like, 'cause obviously the last map of the trilogy, you expect it to be the most exciting. You expect it to be the most kind of impactful experience. So I can see some people would probably see it as a bit of a dud level to be the final level sort of thing. But for me personally, I didn't see. I wasn't I didn't feel let down or anything. I appreciated the unique experience of it. I thought it
was very unique, and I couldn't honestly imagine a large level being the last level. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, something like Scale would seem a bit out of place, wouldn't it? As the final.
It would feel very. I feel like having a big playground as the last mission, especially thematically, wouldn't work. I don't know.
No, I think you're right, because
I like it. I like this.
Because obviously, by that point, the narrative really had become the centerpiece.
Yeah.
And I think it was really important to have that, very kind of tunnel vision aspect to the level in terms of objectives and
exactly.
And it
wasn't boring. There was lots of different ways to get around things. You still little puzzles to solve. It wasn't boring at all.
That was I really enjoyed that aspect of that level, and I'm really dreading. At the same time, I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm really dreading the suit only run for that level.
Yes, I don't know how that'll work, but slow and steady, I guess.
Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Except if you're Mendy off-road.
Yes. They'll probably teleport to the front somehow, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like they'll find some glitch where you teleport from one end to the other, shoot the target, and then 2 seconds.
I expect it.
Or like flying phone or something,
Flying phone. Oh dear.
Catapult it like 10 kilometers ahead, so when the train goes,
if you attach the explosive to this tree, then actually the tree is not going to go back and explode. Like that.
Yeah. Oh god.
Anyway, that'd be fun. But I think so. That's my thoughts on that level and the game in general, I think.
So, final thoughts on the overall game. What did you think? Was it all that you expected?
Yes, it's actually completely different than I expected. I did expect more formulaic Hitman, which I would have just been like, cool, I enjoy it. But I like that they shake things up a lot. I'd say Dubai and Mendoza are the most classic style Hitman missions. Mendoza has more twists to it, but the other three feel more. Actually, maybe Chongqing to an extent, but the other. It feels a lot more risky, not risky in like a negative way, but they took more risks with the way they designed them, the maps and the gameplay. And I really enjoyed that. The music was excellent. Gameplay was
Yeah.
excellent. The story concluded in a way that I didn't see coming and enjoyed. Yeah, I don't honestly have a lot of criticisms other than the release debacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm the same. I thought I was very, very happy with it. Yeah, I think you've really explained it in perfectly. I think
agree?
agree with everything you said. Nothing springing to mind what I could add. Overall I thought it was great, and I'm really looking forward to playing through it again many more times and learning the levels more. And
I think so much fun.
I think my only criticism would be the fact that it does seem to be limited in content in terms of like mission stories and unlocks and things like that, feats and discoveries compared to some of the older maps. But I think that's my only criticism. Everything else is perfect, great.
Just to counter that, I guess. Are you still talking? Sorry.
I was just going to quickly say, even the fact that they didn't bring back dual silver bullets, I'm okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But the next Hitman game, come on.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You're going to make us longer than another
3
5
silver
years.
bullets.
Three. A robotic arm coming out of it.
Exactly. The only thing I'd counter with what you just said, like from my perspective, I liked that there's less tracked mission stories personally, because I saw that as a way for the designers, from what I've seen so far, to add in more like almost untracked mission stories that you have to just overhear conversations and piece together, and then you can set a bunch of things up, so you don't get all the icons. But similar to the one, I always use this as an example, but similar to the one in Miami, where you find the explosive and then you can set Robert Knox up to blow up Sierra's car. It feels like there's a lot more of those, which the game doesn't tell you. You just have to figure out. And I think that's where all the mission stories sort of disappeared to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point,
places
actually.
that you can't see yet.
Yeah.
And I won't be able to really confirm that until I've played everything. But it feels like that to me so far. So
that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. So that's a very valid point. I think you're absolutely right in that. Like harking back to say Blood Money, there were no mission. Well, I suppose the mission stories in that were just you had to figure it out on your own.
We could buy intel, I guess, but it wasn't super guidey or anything.
Like an example being in I can never remember the names of these levels, but the map where you're at the alcohol rehab clinic. Flatline, and you have to kill the mob members that are in the facility, and you can disguise yourself as a psychologist or a psychiatrist, whoever they are, the mental health worker. And I never knew that until like recently.
Really? Yeah.
So
and it's a cool feeling, isn't it?
It is a cool
really
feeling.
Everything.
Yeah. I was just streaming Blood Money one day, and then someone said, "Oh, why don't you kill them as the so and so, the psychologist or whatever?" And I said, "You can do that."
I love that. That's
so it's crazy. That when they're not easily discoverable, when you have to kind of do the groundwork or
when they're not signaled to you directly all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes things can stay hidden, which allow for have more surprises and maybe for longer and in the future. Which is We'll see how it goes. I want to keep playing before I can really like confirm that, but it seems like that.
Yeah. Before we wrap things up, we also wanted to talk about. So obviously we covered all the maps. Then we also want to talk about briefly the new mechanics. So I think they were primarily the camera, the shortcuts, and
the panel, like the password,
the keypads. Yeah,
keypads.
I think they were the 3 key.
Yes.
New implementations to gameplay mechanics, weren't they? That we could think of. That we.
It's probably more which I've completely forgotten. But yes.
So just quickly touching on the camera, what did you think of that?
I liked it. I liked it as sort of a new way to take screenshots, even just as a non-gameplay thing. It's kind of fun.
And I love that
really
it influenced a first-person perspective as well.
Yes, you can also walk around while having it out. So maybe someone could mod first-person perspective it on PC. I don't know. But,
hint.
But I really liked it, and it has good use in Dartmoor, which I won't talk about because I haven't played much of that. And for unlocking windows and such in Dubai, that was nice.
That really brought out that spy element of the game, didn't it?
Yeah. For me, it wasn't a huge thing, but I think I got the most use out of it, sort of zooming in on like things and looking at details and stuff.
Yeah. I love it how it had the depth of field as well and the filters.
Yeah, that was nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was a nice addition.
That was great.
Yeah, looking forward to playing with it a bit more. And what did you think of the shortcuts?
Yeah, shortcuts were. So I was skeptical about them. I may have been talked about this on the pilot episode. How I was skeptical. I'm not sure, but I wasn't sure if it would sort of just be a crutch for the game designers to make less interesting paths initially. But all of my worries were completely like thrown out the window. They're used very well.
Yeah.
They're only placed that I've seen in places where if you were sort of routing the mission, or there's a large sort of non-target area where it's just obstacles like guards and stuff to get through before you can get to the targets. They sort of just circumvent those if you would like. So there might be a ladder in Dubai which can skip a whole floor, or like stuff like that. And I you know what, they worked well. The fact that they're persistent actually also worked well for me. I don't mind that at all. What do you think?
I had a completely different idea of what they'd be in my head.
Oh, interesting.
I thought, because I didn't really read into a lot of the detail of the new content when they were advertising it pre-launch. And when I first kind of skim-read about the shortcuts, I thought it might have been like, so you know how you can figure out shortcuts in the previous maps, like for example in Mumbai you can climb up the side of Rangan's skyscraper to access the security room. I just thought the map might like pinpoint a shortcut once you discovered it or something like that. Yeah. I didn't actually realize they'd be physical ladders or physical doors that you can only unlock from one side or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a really cool change to the overall obstacles that they create.
The sort of thing where like it sort of represents your knowledge of the level as well. Like by the time you've unlocked them all, you probably will know the level in a very well anyway. So they'll never be an issue again after that even if you don't like them, because they'll always be unlocked in your save. So I can't really see any criticism of it now.
No.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They were implemented very well. Yeah. And I think just the keypads. That was the final thing to touch on for new gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, what did you think about them?
I really liked them. It was a unique obstacle. It was a nice change to just using your lockpick or using your pirate keycard, your scrambler. I like the fact that you could learn the key passes or the keypad pass code by interacting with your broader surroundings, such as listening into an NPC or seeing the code on a sticky note somewhere. Like, I felt that was a really, really nice touch.
Zooming with your camera in somewhere. Or,
It
worked really well.
It really encouraged further exploration for the player, and really kind of encourage players to engage with the more subtle details of the level design. And I thought that was
I think it was clever because it makes you like, for some players who may like speed around and stuff, may make them slow down a bit and sort of look at smaller details, which then might lead them to find things they wouldn't have otherwise, like, oh, I can actually poison this thing from here, or like, oh, I'm in this room and there's something here I can interact with, or what's this banana doing here, so that sort of thing. Like, you can I think it also serves that purpose for some players. I saw some streamers sort of who were usually running around with their guns sort of slowing down a bit, and it was really cool. So I enjoyed them. I echo everything you said. They were very good.
And I just like subtle changes, like, when you first played Dubai and your mini-map's not accessible until you read the terminal. Like, just little things like that were really, really nice.
Yeah, I like those.
Just mixing things up a little bit rather than always starting with a mini-map available, or,
Exactly.
So next we were going to touch on soundtrack, I think.
I've said most of my thoughts, I think, in the levels, but overall the soundtrack was excellent. I really liked it. I don't know any complaints really.
No. Niels by Nielsen, is that his?
Niels by Nielsen.
Niels by Nielsen, the composer's name. I think, I read a lot of comments on YouTube and Twitter, people always kind of claiming that he copied Jesper Kid.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Not true at all. No, it's got its own thing going.
Yeah, absolutely. In hindsight, now that we've received the whole trilogy, I think he's done a commendable job.
Yeah. And the soundtrack's reactive as well. It's not just like as you're doing actions, it may like swell or go back down a bit. I really like that.
Yeah. It's very responsive to player choice.
Exactly.
There's almost like a cause and effect element to it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Which is impressive composing. I don't know how they do that, but it's really well done.
Yeah, it's incredibly well done. And just the main theme for each game was incredible. And the briefing themes throughout the trilogies.
Yes.
Or throughout the
new theme is the new theme's really good. They all of them sort of, I guess I don't know if the words remixed each other, but they all sort of have like a core theme they sort of play off of to very different emotion, which is really good.
Yeah. I feel like the Hitman 3 theme is very melancholic. It's very bittersweet.
That's it. Bittersweet's a really good word.
Yeah, it's almost like that haunting.
There's a haunting somberness to it.
Yeah, haunting somberness. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, I really liked it. So props to Niels by Nielsen.
Yeah, great work. You have done excellent job. Like it's hard to come after something like Jesper Kid, but you did very well.
Yeah, very tough act to follow. So
yeah, I think my favorite soundtrack is in Miami. I really like some of the tracks there, just from my personal taste.
But, like the main Miami theme.
Yeah, that one's a great one. Yeah. And the one where you was sneaking around the car park, I like. It's just very sort of like distant, like large, sort of sciencey feel like that. But, the new game has some very. It feels a bit old school Hitman, but not ripping it off at all or copying it. It just feels like calling back to that.
Yeah. There's definitely some hints of inspiration there, such as the Isle of Skye soundtrack, very operatic in the male vocal choir range. There was a lot of that in Contracts and Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, and I think that's the kind of male choir vibe was something that was really harnessed in those earlier tracks that Kid did. But as you say, Niels by Nielsen didn't rip elements like that off. He simply kind of re-envisioned them and put his own spin on it, which was really cool.
It's great. I really like to hear that. Chongqing had that same sort of inspiration, in my opinion, as well. With the operatic choir type thing. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, our terminology is probably really inaccurate.
You can sort of understand what we mean.
Yeah.
we need musicians on to correct us.
Yeah, we do.
Fact check us.
But I'm sure we're getting our point across.
Yes.
So thoughts on how they might do roadmaps and what kind of content they might produce?
So I can't see how they'll do new maps. I think that's off the table as far as I can see, unless they do something like remaster old Hitman maps.
That's the only way they could do it. Like get the community to vote and then spend 6 months making the map, like they did with the bank in Haven Island.
Yeah. That said, I can imagine them spending more time on, I don't know, maybe higher quality escalations or elusives this time. Maybe implementing a new system for the elusive targets to keep them going a while. Those sort of things I can see. I imagine, based off how the plot has gone, it feels like I won't talk about this much now, but it's almost like a meta narrative as well. They're moving on from Hitman for a while, so I think I don't think it will be as extensive as, say, Hitman 1 or 2's roadmaps.
Yeah, probably not.
But I don't know. No one knows yet. But that's okay. Like, the game's an incredible package already.
Yeah.
And I at least hope for maybe some holiday missions or just few little fun things. Maybe not necessarily plot relevant, just fun stuff.
Yeah. And a few unlockables here and there.
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, but I agree. I can't see us getting the same level of monthly DLC as say Hitman 2.
Yeah, there's at least 3 more deluxe escalations on the way. I don't know what that entails or how extensive they'll be. Probably about the same quality as the first three, which were quite good. They're better than normal escalations for like overall quality.
Yeah. I mean, I've only played the Dubai one, and that was fantastic.
So, yeah, it was great. Yeah. Has a nice funny little plot in it as well.
Yeah.
Very basic, but very amusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some nice subtle touches to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see them doing more elusive targets than Hitman 2?
I think they'll do a few more because they've advertised them. I think they'll do more than Hitman 2.
Fingers crossed.
Is my guess.
Yeah.
I guess my fear, I don't know how game development works exactly in this case, but my theory is that they will put a few more elusive targets. And my guess was the elusives turned into the special assignments, but I'm sorry if that's not true, developers, but that's what it felt like a bit to me.
I agree with that. I think that was a definite.
Yeah, I enjoyed the second 2 special assignments more than the first 2, but
they
were still a bit like, they were less than the bonus missions.
Yeah, I think the bonus missions more than made up for it.
Yeah.
Those first 2 we received, especially.
Oh yeah, the bank and Haven.
Yeah.
Were excellent.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll get anything on that level, but
no.
We'll see.
Yeah, see what happens. So yeah, I think that about wraps things up before we get into the mailbag segment, read some responses. So I suppose that's our initial intuitions of Hitman 3.
Initial intuitions, they stuck the landing, I think. So good work, IO.
Yeah, fantastic work, and great first impressions. Despite a tiny bit of a rocky launch, but I'm sure they'll more than make up for that in the long run.
I imagine so.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back with the mailbag segment to cap things off. And
had a lot of submissions this time.
yeah. Maybe more than last time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what was the question this week?
It's a good question. I think the question was, what was your favourite level and why?
Oh, your favourite map in Hitman 3.
Yeah, favourite map.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, question this episode, I mean, not this week.
Yes.
We're not releasing weekly episodes at this stage.
So Agent Lucas has a good one, but spoiler warning for Chongqing. If you have not played this level yet, I'd skip this and come back to this segment when you've played through this level. So Agent Lucas says, thus far, I think my favorite map is Chongqing. I have quite a lot of reasons on why I like it. The dark atmosphere is very capitalized on in this level, with Hush manipulating the poor people into his sick, twisted experiments, which really makes me feel unsettled. The neon lights, the dark sky, the rain, and the distant city all make this level feel very beautiful. The heavy, constant surveillance and the technologically advanced ICA site add to the advanced and futuristic, yet scary and cheerless themes of the mission. I also liked how hacking worked in the mission, using the new camera item, and it made me feel like I was playing Watch Dogs and Hitman at the same time, both being my favorite video game franchises. Having Olivia Hall as the handler for this mission was also a nice change. Thank you for that comment, Lucas. Really interesting perspective there.
Yeah, really. He's used some really good descriptive language there to really thoroughly explain or accurately explain the themes of the level.
I really like the sick and twisted experiments is very accurate.
Yeah, which is what we described earlier on in the podcast during our thoughts on Chongqing. Obviously, we were talking in non-spoiler terms there, but and I like the way they state advanced and futuristic yet scary and cheerless themes.
Yeah, very true. It feels like this could be a city which is like a great night spot in another time, or like a great place to hang out, but not in this mission. I mean, it's nice to walk around in, but I wouldn't want to. On this night, I wouldn't want to be out in the streets. It feels very
sinister. Yeah, very bleak. Yeah. Like all the bright neon lights kind of create this surface level, almost civilization or metropolitan utopia, but it's just surface level, and then once
very surface level in multiple ways. Yes. So,
and once you scratch through the surface, you can see that there's a real underbelly to.
Great way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like the way he states having Olivia Hall as the handler for this mission was also a nice touch. I feel like from a narrative perspective, she was a very underdeveloped character in Hitman 1 and 2. So it was really, really nice to see her have some time in the spotlight during the course of Hitman 3. I thought that was a nice touch.
You could tell she was invested in some way beyond her just like job, I guess. She wanted to actually help.
Yeah. In Hitman 2 and Hitman 1, there was no substance to her character. It was just the only purpose of her character was so that they could hack computers and hack security systems to make it plausible for 47 to go out into the field in some of those locations. But in Hitman 3, they really explore her character a bit, and I really like that. So thank you. Good observation, Agent Lucas. That was,
yes, thanks, Lucas. Excellent observations there.
I'm going to quickly read out two that kind of focus on the same topic, because they're both short and sweet. Not that we don't like hearing the longer responses, it's just...
Oh, I love to read them.
Yeah. Obviously, we can't read the longer ones in succession, so I'll read a longer one in a moment. The first one, so both these posts are short and sweet. They focus on Dartmoor. So Slick X82 says, I need to replay the entire game a few times, but right now Dartmoor is up there. The detective's mystery was a lot of fun. I really agree with that sentiment in that, as we already stated at the beginning of this episode, we have to play them more to really get a more concrete perception of the maps.
Absolutely. And I'll back up because I've played through the detective story, and even though I've played through and I quote unquote solved it, there's still a lot more I can tell to be found out about this family, and it'll take a few playthroughs to really get to the bottom of everything. So.
Is it almost like the, because I haven't played it obviously, is it almost like the Kashmirian? Yeah,
it is in different way, but that level feels very much like a branching Kashmirian style, one big mission story. So
multiple conclusions.
Yes, and
that's really cool.
The detective mission story will lead you to find different ways to do things. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Good observation, Slick.
Yeah, thanks, Slick. And then Lynn also says, Lynn, your name has no vowels, so I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. My favourite map is Dartmoor because of the atmosphere, the detective story, and the various endings when you conclude your investigation. Love them all. So he also affirms there, or confirms that there are multiple endings to that mission story. So that
there's more than one way to do things, which is it's nice.
Yeah,
won't go into spoilers here, but yes, forward to more people experiencing it.
Yeah. And the whole kind of whodunit atmosphere, classic English murder mystery.
Yes,
vibes,
absolutely love that.
Really amazing.
Yeah. So thank you for those submissions. Sniffle Blocks writes, I feel as though an honourable mention should go to the final level in the mountains. This isn't one of my favourite levels in Hitman 3, and I doubt it is anyone else's favourite, but it's just such a good finale level that I thought I should mention it. It was beautiful, and I liked how after all its time patiently sneaking around, IO were like, you know what, there's no need to worry about non-targets this time, go crazy, although you can finish it completely stealthily. It was a very fun finale to a brilliant trilogy. And yes, I completely agree, and I love that idea of just being let loose to go crazy on all the targets in that level. So what do you think about that?
No, I absolutely agree with that sentiment. I think it's almost like let loose.
Yes, I love that.
It's a nice way to wrap things up in terms of you've just done 20 odd missions where we've forced you to, well, not forced, but to get a good rating, you have
Highly
to
encouraged you to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Highly encouraged to play a certain way, to do it all stealthily and as smoothly and silently as possible. So to have a level where, you can kind of bring out that cold rage in 47.
Bring out the big Mooney in you.
Bring out the big Mooney in you. Do a zero consequential kill everyone challenge.
But I thought I should read out that segment of Sniffleblocks' larger post, because I thought it was an interesting observation, an interesting way to an interesting perspective that not many other people shared. So thank you for everyone for your submissions. There's a lot we didn't get to, which is great, but we read them all. And if you want to read other people's thoughts and share your own, you can check out the podcast mailbag section on the All Things Hitman Discord channel. So thanks everyone.
We are going to give everyone a turn every episode, so at least we will try to do our best. So keep posting, and I'm sure before long your answer will be featured in a future episode.
So I think that about does it for this episode.
Episode 1 of Hitman Hideout, initial intuition of Hitman 3.
The initial intuition, yes.
The initial intuition, yeah. I think it's been a really kind of insightful episode. It's good to bounce each other's thoughts off, or our first impressions of the game. It seems like we did it kind of come to similar conclusions with a lot of aspects of the game at this early stage. So
it'd be interesting to see if we diverge or stay on the same pathway as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, future episodes we're intending to have guests on, so it's not always going to be this format of just the two of us. We are hoping to have a guest on next episode, as early as next episode. We'll reveal. We're not obviously going to say who that is at this point in time or what the episode will be about, but we're bound to have at least someone on, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, it's going to be really exciting to have our first guest, I think.
We've got some good guest ideas lined up, so we'll see how we go. No spoilers yet, or even confirmation on anyone.
No, we can't do any name dropping without.
Which name dropping actually having they have to come on.
The pressure's on. All right.
So thank you so much for watching, especially if you got this far. And I guess we hope you enjoyed this episode, and leave your feedback again in the comments, because you did last time, and we really enjoyed reading through that.
I really valued that feedback. Yes. And I'd say we kind of have a rough plan to hopefully release an episode every couple of weeks. That's the plan at this stage, but obviously life and commitments in life can get in the way sometimes, so can't promise there's going to be a regular schedule or roadmap for this podcast, but we'll get our episodes out as often as we can. All right. Well, thank you, and signing off.